Hello and welcome to this special bonus episode of the Book Wars Pod. This is our 15th bonus episode, and today we are going to be talking about Star Wars Resistance, which, if you don't know what it is, you really should.
You don't know what it is, please fix
you.
your life.
No, so Resistance just ended its first season. It is currently the only animated show running on, only animated Star Wars show running.
Yes.
And it airs every week. It takes place before/during the timeline of The Force Awakens, as we will get into. And really, it's fantastic. As somebody who liked Clone Wars and got really attached to Rebels by the end, this is like some of my favorite Star Wars content since The Last Jedi. I'm obsessed with this show.
Which is saying a lot, because Chris is one of those people who actually enjoyed The Last Jedi. Controversy! But we're joined today by Allie, yay, from the Knights of Ren pod. So we're super happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. I've been like, kind of like looking for a reason to have you on the pod, like to talk about animated stuff, because I know like you're super into it, and of course Knights of Ren is spelled W-E-R-N because of Rebels. So no, this is going to be super fun.
Yeah, it's good. We haven't talked about animation in a while because it's been a minute since Rebels ended, so it's nice.
Yeah. And Kristen and Miranda are fucking slackers and decided to not be watching this because I don't know.
Yo, there's so many. It's so frustrating because there's so many people who are not watching this show who like should be, who like either watched Rebels or watched Clone Wars or like is interested in this period in time in the Star Wars timeline, and they're just like, for whatever reason, not watching it. I think part of it's that it's on the Disney Now app, which not everybody is super familiar with. I think part of it is that people are just kind of waiting for The Mandalorian and Disney Plus.
Part of it is that the app sucks.
The Disney Now app is not good. I really hope Disney Plus isn't a catastrophe when it launches. It's going to take us like a week after it actually launches to be able to watch The Mandalorian.
It's fine. We'll all be in the same complaining boat.
Yeah. But if you are a listener and you have not yet watched Resistance, please do so. It's really good. It got renewed for season 2.
Thank God.
So it's, it seems like it has a strong enough following, but we got to make sure that it stays on for as long as they want to keep telling the story.
Yes, please. Speaking of the story, shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's do it. So do we want to start with just like general likes, dislikes about the season?
I want to hug this show. Because it's delightful. Oh, we should mention, so if you've listened to this pod before, usually we do a what are you drinking right now? Allie is not allowed to have adult beverages at this point.
I'm having tea.
Yeah, so in honor of our wonderful guest who is living the realest life, we are doing sober pod. But we have tea. We do have tea. We have stash tea. It is the Portland blend, for those who are curious. It is delicious. Allie, are you having any?
No.
Refreshment? All right, see? Because Allie is metal as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay because Kristen's not here to yell at her, so.
I mean, Kristen can't yell at her, though.
Kristen yelled at me plenty of times when I didn't have a drink.
Yeah, but that's because it's you. We're allowed to yell at you.
This is this classic double standard for men that I hear so much about on the internet.
Oh my god. All right. Allie, what are your thoughts about, what have you really enjoyed about this show?
A lot of stuff, obviously. I mean,
yes.
it's really just such a fun show. I mean, at least it started very lighthearted, which some people didn't necessarily like, but I more so kind of liked it a bit, because, like, a lot of the humor was really funny. Like, Niku is the purest thing ever, and from here, it's just, like, the best, and I love Tora, and I love Kaz, and I just love all the characters' interactions, just like with Rebels. I say this all the time. I just love characters' interactions, and so it's just really cool to see that, and to see a different kind of timeline, because with each of the animated shows, we follow, like, different parts of the timeline, and we get to see, like, the different kinds of interactions depending on the timeline, which I think is really cool. I really enjoyed being able to see Kaz grow a lot through this season, especially because, like, he's put in this position where he's like, oh, you're gonna be a spy, and you're gonna have to, like, search and find this, like, first order spy on the station, and it's just really funny to see all his little spy antics and trying to figure things out, and while trying to balance his, like, crazy life of trying to all of a sudden be a mechanic, which did not end well for him because he struggles a lot with that. But yeah, it's just a really fun show to see the different characters interacting and their little stories with spying and mechanic shenanigans and racing and all that different kinds of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely a show that has, like, I feel like it's more so than maybe the previous two animated shows, of course, The Clone Wars and Rebels. I think it's one of those shows that has a little something for everybody. Just because, obviously, like, the show, the primary audience is children, obviously, in case you couldn't tell, because it's a kid's show. But there's definitely plenty of stuff in there for grown-ups, and so Chris and I have been helping out with the episode-by-episode reviews for the Tashi Station blog, and you know, I know what we've written about how the show is at once, like you said, like, super lighthearted, but also is not afraid to go to these dark places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what I love about that especially is that it's the show creators are really trusting that kids can still, like, understand. Like, I remember I wrote about the episode where Yeager's brother pops up, and of course that goes to, like, really, really dark places because, spoiler alert, Marcus kind of killed Yeager's entire family. But, you know, it's one of the things that I think people don't really understand about young children is that they can actually handle a lot as long as it's explained to them on a level that is, like, appropriate for them. And so I like that it's taking that to heart, and it's taking that kind of risk, but also obviously when you go to those places, then there's plenty for adults as well. And oh my god, precious Niku, my baby. Yeah. I just, like, I want to wrap him in a blanket and rock him to sleep. Like,
Yes.
Yeah. I like to second and build on what you were saying, Kate. So anybody who has read my either tweets back when I was on Twitter, or specifically some Tashi reviews of Resistance that I've done over the course of this season, knows that one of my big things with this show is that I feel like it has so much more of a sense of identity already through one season than Rebels ever had, and frankly, than Clone Wars had it a lot of times.
Clone Wars, what were you doing sometimes?
I mean, Clone Wars... we could write entire books on Clone Wars' sense of identity and why it happened and why it didn't exist, and there's, like, that's a whole different thing.
Which is, and, like, just to make clear that, like, we super love both Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, we're not, like... We critique with love.
No, Clone Wars doesn't have a sense of identity because George Lucas didn't create Clone Wars to have a sense of identity. He created it to have a sandbox, and that's fine. Like, he's the creator. He wanted to do that. He did what he wanted to do. There's nothing wrong with that. I think, for me, one thing that I noticed, particularly when I was watching Rebels, is that they could never quite get the balance between, did they want this to be a fun show where nothing matters, or do they want this to, like, move the plot of the Skywalker saga forward? And to me, at least, I never saw them getting that balance right. And you would kind of have, like, is this week going to be a fun week or a serious week? Like, you know what I mean? And so...
Kaden dying, definitely not.
A fun week. Definitely a fun week.
Super fun.
So
I always...
Fun. There were pretty colors.
Wow. Thanks
Super
a lot
fun.
for that.
Super fun.
Jesus.
But they saw each other again. Anyway.
I hate you so much right
now. But in
like,
Resistance...
I'm going to throw you off the balcony.
But in...
Oh my god.
Resistance, I felt pretty early on, like, even by this mid-season finale, that, like, the showrunners on this one seem to have a better sense of what exactly they want to be doing with this show. Like, they have... It's definitely... at the start felt more kiddie. Like, it felt, silly. You have Niku, obviously. Kaz is the worst spy.
Oh my god.
You have
Yes.
you have Yeager in your stereotypical sitcom dad. I don't want to deal with any of this mode.
Tag yourself, I'm Yeager.
Yeah. So like the comedic elements are set up, but it also very quickly blends those in with seriousness. And we have the children of Tahar coming in, who are like, that's a silly episode because we're dealing with the slow space turtles, but like also they're fleeing a massacre, and like they're fleeing the destruction of their village and maybe their world. And so it's very quickly kind of established that it wants to be a balanced show that tackles these darker topics, but in a way that's accessible, very much like you were saying, Kate. And to me, like, knowing what you want to do with the show opens up so many more doors from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Just to talk about, honestly, the showrunners for a hot second, because that's really significant. And one of the things I really like about the show is, so Dave Filoni was, driving the car for both the Clone Wars and Rebels. And this time he's taken a step back because he's super duper and even more important in Lucasfilm Animation now. Mm-hmm. And so it's being produced by Athena Portillo, which is very, very exciting because we've never had a woman, obviously, helm one of the Star Wars cartoons. And another thing is that we were super excited about, I know, when the show was announced, was that the cast was going to be super diverse, which actually showed up on screen in the characters. Like, we had David Oyelowo playing Callus, but in Rebels, but Callus is a white dude, and I was like, what?
Yes, it's still one of the weirdest castings.
I know, right?
Star
Like,
Wars.
I didn't find that out until like season 3, and then I was just like, excuse the fuck out of me, what's going on here? This is fascinating. But yeah, I love that the diversity of the cast is actually reflected on the screen. Obviously, you've got like very visible black characters. You've got the Dozas, who are very, very visible Latinx characters who are just not afraid to be just like that's just super, super on the screen. Just, Captain Doza's accent and the way that, Tora talks is, the ways that like the Dominican and Puerto Rican kids that I grew up with in my particular neighborhood in the Bronx, like, that's how they talked because, their parents were immigrants and they couldn't speak English. And, there's, like, when you learn imperfect English to start with, like,
it's an inflection.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. Like, it's a cultural thing, and it's, like, it's super important, and it actually, like, shows up. And, aside from that, we get, like, so many alien species, which is very exciting to me, being secondary characters. And we have Flix and Orca, my Galian uncles, whom I love very much. Like, it's super cool. I love that.
Now I'm really hoping we get through Celebration without, like, Filoni just, like, pulling a J.K. Rowling and just being like, they're just really good friends who visit each other's parents.
No. That is unacceptable.
Literally the most explicit queer representation we've ever gotten in Star Wars in these two. Like,
yes.
Just let us have this.
I know.
It's a children's show. We're not asking for, like, Shah Jahan, whatever Flix is, like, gratuitous sex scene. Let us have this.
Gosh. Why? I don't think I want that ever, honestly.
Kate thinks through all the fanfic potentials just so she can be very, very sure that she's telling the truth when she says she does not want this.
No, I don't want this. I don't want this. I've seen some weird stuff in my time. We don't have to get into that right now. Any fucking ways.
During the dark times.
What?
During the dark times.
Dude, I survived the Harry Potter shipping wars.
You sure did.
Allie's like, Allie, right now, you're just like, you're so fucking old. And then I think one last thing that I want to mention in terms of, like, stuff that I've liked overall, I love the animation style so much.
I do too. People were, like, very down on that when the show first got announced and came out. I don't know, Allie, what do you think?
No, I literally had, like, some dude reply to me. I, like, tweeted about Resistance last summer, and some dude replied to me, but, like, oh, the art's crappy. I don't want to watch it. Why would you like it? The art's terrible. I'm like, what? Excuse me?
Oh my god.
Like, seriously. I was like, alright.
Number one, way to be wrong, dude, bro. Number two, aggressive. Like, okay, interesting. No, I love that it's like you can tell what they meant when they said it was going to be like anime inspired, but it's got a little bit of a 3D pop to it, and there's so many pretty colors. Like, and I mean this like sincerely. Like, it's a very colorful show, which I think is fun, especially like after. I mean, obviously, settings like Lothal were kind of more monotone for a reason, because that was just what the terrain was like, but it was super fun to see, like, actual, we're talking about racing and stuff. Like, you want some flash in there, so that's super fun. Anything we haven't liked?
There's nothing I haven't liked. There's stuff that I would have liked to see that I'm confident I will see. So, like, there's stuff that I said throughout the season I wanted more about Tam. Now that we know that Tam has, and obviously, anytime we're talking about something, we're using spoilers, and I think we spoiled a few things already. But like,
this is spoiler
about to go
pod.
into the major, about to go into the major spoiler of the finale. So, like, if somehow you made it this far and you're like, oh, they're doing spoilers, you should stop listening now.
Just run away.
However, I think with Tam and with the reveal at the end that she is going over to the First Order,
Oh, Tam.
I think I have to assume that we are going to get a lot more about her feelings and her motivations behind that decision.
Yeah.
Because we just didn't really get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I would just like to see her more fully fleshed out as a character, because we have a lot of Kaz, we have a decent amount of Niku, and actually a surprising amount of Tora, more than I expected,
Which is great.
which is amazing. But
Love her.
I think there's so much possibility and potential with Tam.
Allie, do you have any quibbles?
I agree with the Tam thing, definitely. I mentioned this in my notes, but a lot of the times we see Tam, it's mostly just like annoyed with Kaz. I'm just annoyed with Kaz. Why is no one telling me anything? Kaz. And so like, I really hope that next season we do get to see a lot more of Tam and like more sides than just being annoyed with Kaz for once, which will hopefully be nice to see.
Yeah.
So yeah. And
Definitely.
then this isn't really like I hate this kind of thing, but for me personally, like you said, we had some dark stuff throughout the show, but I felt like it was like very like light, here's some dark stuff, light stuff, dark stuff, light stuff, and then like the very last like maybe like 3 or so episodes, it's like bam, here all of a sudden we're like destroying planets and we're in the Force Awakens, all of a sudden like everything's going crazy, and I thought that was just like, okay, whoa, here we are. But I guess looking back, I did see that, yeah, there was more build-up than I might have not noticed, but it did feel like it was pretty crazy. And then also, I didn't get a chance to say this earlier, but tying back when you said when I was, that I'm much younger than you guys, and tying back into the thing that, like, kids can, like, understand the more dark stuff of this show, I remember, because I am younger, I was, like, 10 or something, and I'd watch, like, the Clone Wars on, like, Cartoon Network with my brother, and as a kid, I mean, I wasn't that young, but, like, I still, I understood some things that maybe looking back as a 10-year-old, I'm proud of myself for understanding, and, like, I didn't think the dark stuff was, like, overwhelming or anything, so, like, it's definitely, I think that they're balancing, that being able to do, like, have these dark stuff where, like, yes, planets are dying and Kaz is, like, super sad because his parents died or whatever, like, but that's stuff that kids can, like, understand. It's not bad or anything, and they're able to balance that with, like, the lighter stuff, so it's definitely, like, makes it a good show for kids. I agree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Agree. Completely.
Absolutely. I have one. I'm sorry. I'm going to go off outline real quick, Kate, because I have a question that I just thought of.
Not allowed, you're fired.
Based on branching off of what Allie was talking about.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things we try to talk about in our podcast is like how the whole universe is interconnected. And I think one thing that not we've received pushback on, but like the other side of that argument is that it makes it less accessible and harder to enter at any given point because there's so much more that you need to know. My personal view is that, like, to do it right, each entry point needs to exist in and of itself and then can branch off from there. So how do we feel? Obviously, we're all into Star Wars. We did not begin Star Wars with this animated TV show. But how do we feel Resistance is as an entry point, maybe for its target audience of, 8, 12, 14-year-olds? Let's call it there.
I think it's good because unlike, maybe something like the Clone Wars, I think for that show, there's some, like, assumption that you have a basis in the prequel movies, like, that you've seen them at some point, whereas, a show like this or a show like Rebels, it's a completely new cast of characters.
Yeah.
And you're getting to know them, like, as new characters, and I think Resistance especially does a great job of introducing them and slowly building things up. One of the things I remember, Chris, when you and I were talking when the show started, was that, oh geez, there's so many characters, like, how are we gonna do this, like, how is it gonna like, is it gonna be confusing, how's it gonna work all together, and one thing that the show's been a little bit criticized for that I don't necessarily agree with personally, because I'm fine with these things in my stories, but, it's kind of a slow burn, right? Like, it's a very slow build up. I think the show does a fairly good job of kind of building up the sense of dread you really feel around the First Order until they actually arrive, and then they start cracking down, like, more and more and more, and then, of course, they blow up the Hosnian system because they're great. But yeah, I think it's a great entry point just because it does that slow building, and it when it's creating the world and the characters, it's just kind of like putting layer on layer on layer. And if you're a kid and you saw The Force Awakens and you know who Poe is, that's just kind of a bonus for you.
Yeah, totally.
I totally agree with that. Like, just like what you said, like with both Rebels and this show having a completely new cast, unlike with like Clone Wars, it's like, oh, here's Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they know all these things that they experienced in like the films before this, and like they're like totally like blah blah blah, they're going on these adventures, and it's like they kind of more so expect you to know, like, this is the Clone Wars, this is what blah 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 blah. With Rebels in this show, you can definitely tell that it's like, these are these new characters, this is how they're like learning to fit into the time period and the experiences they're having to deal with, like in this case with the First Order. And definitely with that slow build, like, they give a lot more time before the First Order arrives, where it's just like, oh, we're fighting pirates, this is our like daily life where we're just like having races and fighting pirates, and this is how we interact as like mechanics and store people and whatever. But we definitely get that build up, and then we get to see eventually that tie-in to the First Order, and it definitely like helps you enter this point of, this is the point of Star Wars that we're at, this is how the characters are having to come to deal with it. And then as either being able to see, like you said, with the planets blowing up, with Hosnian Prime blowing up, it helps both new fans and fans who'd already previously watched this stuff, with how now Kaz has this connection to Hosnian Prime. It, as a viewer, helps us now have like more of an emotional connection to that scene for both The Force Awakens and for the show, which I think is really cool too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that this has been a really good show that is, you can really drop in, drop out at any time, because like all you need to know to drop in is it's sequel trilogy, takes place right before episode 7. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, but then now that we're into season 2, like season 2 really has so much potential into where it can go.
Where's the Colossus?
Just because like all we know is that this is presumably happening after, I'm assuming that season 2 is going to open after the events of The Last Jedi.
Probably.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Like, who knows? It could happen during, and they'll, rendezvous with the Falcon or something, or like there's certainly ways they could tie it in, but I'm assuming it'll be after.
They went back in time. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, Jesus. It's too early for a war between worlds. But yeah, so like I think that this is like a great jumping off point for like, if a kid is marginally interested in Star Wars, but then likes this medium better, to then get them more interested in, oh, these characters are cool. Poe's really cool. I love Kaz. Like, presumably there's going to be some more Resistance tie-in lit, or a game or something coming up. I want them to update a racer game.
Ooh.
I want them to come out with Star Wars Resistance Racer.
That would be so fucking fun. I would be terrible at it and crash into everything because Chris has watched me play Mario Kart. It's not pretty, guys. Why would you say that? No, I want that now.
I wonder, I need to look at the celebration schedule a little more and see if there are, like, panels where it's companies just being like, other than this main, what's it called, Jedi Fallen Order panel, like, here's what else we're working on.
Ho ho ho.
Because, like, I don't think they're going to announce a new game at the Jedi Fallen Order panel, because that's not their style. But
no, also, why would you do that?
I'm still not convinced Jedi Fallen Order is ever coming out, but it's fine.
I mean, EA Games.
Right. Anyway, moving on.
Yes. Shall we talk about characters?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Allie, like you were saying, one of my favorite things about all the animated shows is the relationships between the characters and like how they grow and change and how all of them interact with each other. So we're gonna spend a bit of time diving in a little bit. So I wanted to talk about Team Fireball first. So Kaz. So I remember when the show first started, and even now, Kaz has been compared to being an Ezra-like character in that he is kind of our, like, because he kind of is the audience, right? He is our entry point. We're seeing everything through his eyes because he's super new, as Allie said, has no idea what the hell he's doing.
I mean, he's the Luke Skywalker of this particular adventure.
Right, exactly. But there's been a little bit of discussion about, between Kaz and Ezra's quote-unquote likability as characters, and Allie, don't punch me in the face when you see me in Chicago for this, but like Ezra has never been my favorite. He's a difficult character for me to like. I think because we talked about this a little bit when we talked about Rebels after the series finale, but this is, I think, probably could be attributed to Chris, what you were talking about Rebels not quite always knowing where it was going, maybe necessarily. Ezra's character growth, or lack thereof, or whatever you want to call it, was kind of frustrating for me. And there's just kind of the difference between him and Kaz, I think, is that with Kaz there's kind of an earnestness there that really appeals to me, which is kind of childlike and like how naive he can be about certain things, but also, I mean, he's just got so much like fundamental goodness in him, like right up front, that I think he's just a sad baby who I want to hug. I don't know.
No, I think there's something to that. I think looking at Kaz, because you're right, he is just fundamentally light side. Like, he is the embodiment of light side, and unfortunately he's a klutz and he doesn't know what he's doing, but his heart is always in the right place. Whereas pretty much from the jump, that was not really true with Ezra. Like, obviously Ezra wasn't a bad guy, but like, he's, hashtag, street rat, hashtag Aladdin, but like, he's stealing the, blasters, I guess, from Phoenix Squadron, and then he's stealing the holocron from Kanan, and like, he's going around, he's never really comfortable, still wants to be on his own, and you have these, I don't know, so slight tangent, one of the things that always bugged me about Ezra is that he had this just huge canvas that you could paint his character on, and I just don't really feel like they ever went out of one specific corner. Mm-hmm. Because to me, like, you have the fact that he grew up on the streets, so like, anyone who grows up on the streets is like, moral absolutes are not really things that they have the privilege of having.
You're gonna have a bad time, yes.
And so you already have that aspect of him. You have the aspect of how much he hates the Empire, just from a personal revenge standpoint. You have the aspect of trying to become a Jedi, but he does have this revenge in his heart. Obviously, Maul makes it even worse, and then he feels the guilt for what happens to Kanan, and he, flirts with the dark side a little bit in the beginning of season 3, but then nothing ever comes of that randomly. So and then like it feels like he just never really learns anything or changes. There's no growth there. Like he feels, honestly, to me, he felt in the finale like the same kid he felt like in the premiere. And that's, I know that's not something that everybody agrees with, but like for me, that was kind of how I felt about it. And so it just felt like they like didn't let him grow or didn't give him the opportunities to grow as much as he could have to be a full character. Whereas Kaz, I feel he's grown a lot. Like
even in one season.
Even in one season, exactly. Like obviously his motivations were always, I'm a puppy dog, I'm going to protect the New Republic. But like he's gotten better at spying, he's gotten better at lying, but he feels incredibly guilty about it. Mm-hmm. Like he feels really guilty for the way he's treating Tam the entire season.
Yep.
He, you know, is kind of having his own pathetic lovelorn adventures where he really wants to get with Sonara and she just has no interest in him whatsoever.
It's time for you to plug your ship.
Oh yeah, because she's interested in Tam. Make it happen.
Team Tanara. Anyway.
Team Tanara. But yeah, so like I just feel like we already got so much more growth from this happy-go-lucky, klutzy kid to, you know, now very light side, still mediocre spy at best, but like committed, has seen unspeakable tragedy at this point because he had to watch the destruction of his home world.
Oh God, that poor child.
Like, see an experience that he has shared with one Leia Organa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which,
yeah.
Oh God, I need to go lie on the floor and cry now. Thank you for that.
So like, I'm really interested to see where his development is going to go because it is such a it is at such a premium so far, this show.
Yeah, definitely. Allie, what are your Kaz thoughts?
I have Kaz thoughts. I'm not going to join the Ezra hate train.
I know.
But I understand all your points on that still, though. But yes, I don't necessarily agree with all of them.
No,
but
that's fair.
That is cool. That is.
I agree with the Kaz growth a lot. I go to this Resistance watch group with like a bunch of our friends on Twitter, and we like watch Resistance together like every Sunday. And we were talking about this a lot after the finale about how we know that they might not have time necessarily to put this into the season, but now that Kaz has faced this tragedy with Hosni and Prime, we're all like really hoping to like, not only has Kaz faced growth already, but we want to see like more of that, I guess, growth, because like, yes, he's still like kind of lighthearted and stuff, but we were hoping at first to see in season 2 to see some grief, but if they jump ahead, obviously that might not be as at the forefront. But as we talked about in the Kanan episode, like just getting to see a character's grief and processing of something, it's just really powerful. But if we don't get that, we're hoping to at least see more of that growth and like how that's necessarily affected him and how he like it affects his view on like certain situations or his actions or just how he acts in relation to like other things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so that's for season 2. And then in season 1, I definitely agree with the growth. It was like really cool to see his growth as he like tried to become a better mechanic, even though he like kept screwing up, and he kept trying to become a better spy, even though he would struggle with it sometimes. But he still did manage to accomplish a number of things. Like, he did manage to find information that was very helpful that he could get to Poe, and he did manage to, like, help some other characters, like, solve some problems, and helped the children of Tahar, and helped other people, and we did get to see that growth in his, like, different stages of, oh, I'm learning this now, and I'm learning this, and there'd be, like, a lot of different interactions between him and Yeager that I really enjoyed, and there was some like good dialogue exchange between them where you could really see the growth and how Kaz was coming to learn different things through these experiences he was going through, which I thought was really cool.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Definitely. One other thing I think I want to point out, maybe two things I want to point out about Kaz, is that he fully acknowledges, especially in the later episodes, that he comes, as his past, his actual like personal details get revealed, is that he comes from a place of privilege, and it's because his dad's a senator, and he was the good child, and he did everything correctly. He went to the academy and was a pilot. He was not a good Asian who became doctor, but he's doing all right. But yeah, it's nice to see him realistically struggle with being on his own and having to, like, for example, manage his own money and work for a living, or, you know, not manage his own money, as the case may be. Good God.
Yeah, speaking of relatable.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Just like,
Hello, Hansi. We will have 3 waters. A goddamn mood.
I know, that was so fucking real. I was screaming. I was just like, it's me in college.
Oh, no.
I know, like, here's your crystal ball, Allie. But yeah, it was, I don't know, I just, like, I like that realism, that, like, thought that got put into that. And the other thing is that, you know, Kaz is definitely, you know, bumbling, he's learning, but I love how in the season finale he's the one who gets to just, like, take Von Reg out, because he actually, like, he, you know, the reason why he was in the New Republic Navy and the reason why he got recruited to the Resistance is because he's actually a good pilot, which is not necessarily always, like, on display. Like, he might be a good pilot, but of course next to Poe, anybody looks like a fucking chump, right? So, you know, like, it doesn't matter who you are. But I like that we get to see his chops and, like, how smart he is about, like, actually, you know, strategizing and things like that. It's just that, obviously, throughout the season, he's been doing stuff that's outside of his comfort zone and, you know, not his forte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember, like, going off of what you said, I remember back in the beginning, we'd see him, like, complain a lot more, or, like, be a bit more annoyed. Like, he'd be like, why am I doing this? I was sent here to be a spy. I should be spying, not working. Or he'd be like, why can't I race? I just want to fly and do fun stuff. And, like, and then you get to see that he, throughout the season, he, like, comes to be, like, more like, okay, no, I have to work now. This is not just about me spying. And, like, he really does come to see that growth and, like, not just complain and be like, oh, I'm Resistance, I'm, like, so cool, I should be able to do all these things. And he comes to more be like, okay, so I have to work, and I have to earn money, and I have to wait, and then I'll get a chance to spy, and I have to wait some more, and then I'll get a chance to fly. And he does get to, like, grow through that throughout the season, which is cool.
Yeah, totally. What a great fucking point. That's awesome. Definitely. Can we talk about Tam, or are you gonna cry, Chris?
Tam, my girl.
I know.
What are you doing?
She's like Chris's favorite character, so he's just like.
She is, and she still is. Like,
yeah.
So I guess we are ready to talk about Tam, because I'm going to start talking about Tam.
Here we go. Go for it.
So I actually, from a storytelling perspective, and, like, as a viewer of the show who wants the show to move forward, I'm actually really glad that she chose the First Order.
Just from a story perspective.
Just from a story perspective I want to see what it's like on the inside. I want to see what it's like for her, and how in general, a good person like Tam can be manipulated into doing this like that. Mm-hmm. From a fan perspective of wanting Tam to just be good and pure and safe in my arms, like, I wish she hadn't done that. But I think that it makes sense, because now it sets up some really interesting possibilities. Like, is she going to stay with the First Order? Is she going to go, like, First Order? Are they going to indoctrinate her? Is she going to realize she's made a mistake and try and get out and redeem herself? Like, there's so many possibilities here.
Or she could be their spy on the inside.
Inside.
No, there's so many possibilities for her character. And I think the first season has, in retrospect, knowing now where her character is going, has done a good job of giving us, like, kind of, like, tastes of Tam's past, like how she used to be really close with Hype, how, how she viewed her relationship with Yeager, all these things kind of come together, and it really makes sense why she would want to join the First Order, because she feels isolated, she feels lied to, she feels betrayed, and, knowing too that her family, not necessarily supported the Empire, but worked for it, because she mentions that her grandpa worked in an Imperial factory of some sort. Like, it makes sense, everything, like, why she would go to the First Order, but at the same time, you know that these reasons aren't, like, evil reasons. They're just... Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder, and, like, as we're reading on our main episodes, as we're reading Empire's End, like, and kind of dealing with the fact that people have different views of how much of a threat the Empire is at this point. And it's interesting because you do get this view that we haven't seen before of, like, the Emperor as just the institution. Like, you know, if you're on a planet that doesn't have any, you know, hugely rare or massive resources, like, you could have lived a super normal life, like, just, you know, working in a factory, working in a mine, doing whatever, just administrated by the Empire. And you would never know that they were bad. And you would, you know, hear about the rebels blowing things up. And, you know, sure, like, maybe you didn't get to vote before and now you get to vote, and that's kind of cool. But, like, what did the Empire ever do to you to deserve that hatred? And I feel like Tam is kind of very much in that mode.
Yeah, definitely. Allie, do you have any big Tam feelings, or did Chris take them all up?
I have consumed every big Tam feeling in the universe.
Yeah, I definitely agree. With what we see of her in the first season, it definitely makes sense why she ended up making the choice she did, obviously. Well, I said before that it would have been nice to see more development outside of being annoyed with Kaz and annoyed not knowing enough. Looking back at that now, it makes sense why we got the choice we did with her, like, in the end, because we did get that build up where she was constantly annoyed with people not telling her all the things and being annoyed with people lying to her or people just acting suspicious around her. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that obviously makes sense. And personally, yeah, I definitely agree with the fan aspect of, like, wanting to see how she'll, like, interact with the First Order and, like, what her place will be in season 2. I definitely agree with that. And one thing I did note was, in relation to, as we said before, with Tam and Synara, we seem to get, like, a relationship, like, build up kind of with them, or, like, at least a bond or interactions with them, and they were, like, kind of building upon that, especially in, I think it was Synara's score, they had a lot of that, and then all of a sudden, it kind of got brushed aside, and it's like, oh, now we're just gonna get a lot of interactions between Kaz and Synara, and I was kind of like, excuse me? What happened to Tam and Synara?
Yup!
Doing everything I can to prevent myself from just screaming space lesbians into the mic.
Yes! Yeah. So that was definitely something that I was like, come on, please, more Tam and Synara. Why do you do this?
I'm with you. I really hope we get that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because, like, I mean, one of the reasons why I was so excited about them interacting was because there are precious few female friendships in Star Wars, and we need those. Yeah. We need more of those. So put it back, guys.
and even fewer are between women of color.
Yes, which
Synara is Miri Allen, but she has a Mirion accent, which is vaguely Russian Arab, like, hybrid, but, like, and as we've talked about in the past, aliens are kind of
proxies
code for people of color in Star Wars,
yes.
Since it's very recent that people of color actually get real roles that aren't Lando.
Thank God.
Yeah, no, it's great. So, but, like, my point being, this is an example of a relationship between two women of color that we don't see.
Yes.
We just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just really wanted them to have this. I just really wanted Synara. I knew she was gonna, like, swoop in and, like, help save the day, but I just wanted that emotional moment between the two of them, and it just didn't happen, which is fine. But then I better be getting it next season, you know?
Well, one thing that gives me hope is, so EW, I think, did a roundtable with some of the creators of Resistance. Athena was on it. Justin Ridge, the supervising director, was on it. I think maybe a few of the art people. And basically it was like, so, like, what happens to the Colossus now? Like, we know they're going somewhere random, but also, like, there's a lot of people on that ship beyond just the, like, 10 who helped saved it.
I know. I remember, like, we were talking about this after we watched the finale. It was, like, maybe, like, 5 hours later, like, after we finished watching, we were, like, still emotionally wrecked, and then suddenly I was like, hold up a minute. What about the other poor motherfuckers on the ship? They didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, it's like the Rogue One moment when Bodhi fires on the Imperial troops and K2's just like, you're a rebel now. Like, I feel like Kaz is just like, everyone's a rebel now, and everyone else is like, huh?
For sure.
I wanted to not be dead. We accomplished that. Let's slow it down a notch. So it'll be interesting to see how, particularly the pirates, who have no interest in getting involved in this, I would imagine.
Dude, Flix and Orc are still in that fucking box. They have no idea what's going on.
Flix and Orc is still in a damn box. So it'll be really interesting.
I saw somebody tweeting, I don't remember if it was in my group chat or I saw someone tweeting, but there was somebody talking about, like, I wonder how the pirates are, like, what are the pirates' role going to be here, or how are they going to interact with the other Colossus people, which they were previously, like, hating and fighting all the time, and people were like, did Sonara, like, talk them into this, and be like, hey, they're going to be nice to you, and we can all fight together or something, and it's just going to be interesting to see now how they fit into that, and if they, like, choose to follow everyone, or if we just see conflict between those two groups, like, throughout the next season or whatever. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what Justin Ridge was saying, he was hinting that absolutely is going to be a main feature of season 2. At least at the start. Seeing how all those groups interact, and so, like, seeing, like, how the pirates interact with Kaz, and seeing how Sonara interacts, and, like, if she gets the chance to interact with Tam and ask why, like, all these things.
Yeah.
Girl. I'm ready. Should we talk about Tora now?
My favorite!
Yes!
Let's do it.
Allie, I'll let you kick it off.
I honestly, from the very, like, second she was, like, introduced, I'm like, okay, that's my favorite, there we go, done. But, like, seriously, Tora is just so much fun. She's like, even more so than Kaz, has, like, that certain, like, positivity and charm and just goofiness that I just love, especially, I can't get over when, at the end, when Kaz was making his plans, and, like, when the CB-23 was telling Doza and Tora the plan, and, like, Tora gets, like, all excited, and then it's like, oh wait, no, that could be dangerous, but she's, like, just so energetic and so excited to, like, go and do action, and from the very, like, first episode, seeing her, like, race against Kaz and, like, be all teasing, like, oh no, you're doing great, Kazuda, and, like, stuff, and it's just, and then later, I ship Kaz and Tam, not Kaz and Tam, Kaz and Tora. I ship them so much, and I just love, like, I've said this in Twitter before, like, I'm like, if it's not a ship, like, I just still love their interactions, like, even just as friends. Honestly, between any of the interactions between the characters in this season, I just loved seeing Tora and Kaz's little mini adventures and stuff, and getting to see, like, all the situations they would get into and how they get out of them, and how Tora was actually suspicious of Kaz being a spy, and Kaz was like, no, I'm not a spy, and then, like, it was just great to see their interactions, and obviously, Tora and Buggles are the best. Buggles is the best pet ever, and it's so cute how Buggles goes to find Kaz in the finale, and then, it was just great.
That
like,
was precious.
Seeing those two together, especially because Tora has to deal with, in this season, she has to deal with, like, being locked in her tower all the time because her father's overprotective, and he wants to make sure she's safe with the First Order being around, and so she has to deal with that, and it's just so cute how she spends that time with Buggles, and it's just so great. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say.
Yeah, no, one of my favorite small things about the finale, like, the show's full of really great details, but one of my favorite things was that Buggles just, like, hopping away on his little chicken legs was the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen. He's just like boop boop boop, and it's me. I'm a sucker for cute things. In case you couldn't tell.
In case this is your first episode, yeah.
Yes, in case you couldn't tell by how much I love my hamster. But yeah, no, I totally agree. She's such a fun character. She's such a breath of fresh air. I really feel like I love her interactions with Kaz, and you know, as you were saying, with you know, the relationship, I love how it develops over the course of the season, because you know, at the very beginning, we didn't get a whole lot of the aces. We still haven't really, like, super met all of them. So I wasn't sure, you know, how much we were going to actually wind up seeing of Tora, and I wound up being very pleasantly surprised by how much of her we actually got, because I was just like, give me more Tora, she is delightful. And the other thing is that I love that it's pretty clear that, you know, the writers, you know, either of their own volition or, you know, with input from the voice actors, really studied father-daughter relationships, and like especially seeing on screen, you know, speaking as Chinese American person with an immigrant parent, overprotective immigrant dads is the most real fucking thing. Like, if my dad could have locked me in the house and been like, just play with your dog and do your homework, he totally would have. You know, like, I mean, my dad totally would fucking, you know, sell his soul to a paramilitary group for me. So, so I love seeing that. Christopher.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're asking for me to do my opinions on Torah? No, I mean, obviously...
I'm kicking you because it's fun.
I mean, look me in the eye and tell me that doesn't happen on the daily.
I'm not even drinking right now, okay? Like,
I love Torah. I think a lot of it has been said. I think that she is a unique character in that she is so relentlessly positive, but not in a stupid way. Like, usually when we see this positivity, it's someone like... I'm trying to think of an example.
I'm thinking like Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there, but yeah.
Yes.
But like, yeah, it's this very understanding and worldly but positive attitude that I really love. Like, and it's just this can-do-ness. And I also love that just like Myrna Velasco definitely let her accent slip in more and more as the season went on.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it because like she's such a distinct character now. Like, she is, you know, she walks on screen and you know what you're getting.
Absolutely.
And it's great.
Yeah. And we've never had anything like her in Star Wars before. And so it's brilliant. I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, she's like the happy-go-luckiness of like a Jar Jar or a Niku, but with like competency. Like, really good competency.
Well, that and she's also like, I mean, she's an ace pilot. She's a bad bitch.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
So, I love it.
Like, I love dark and gritty, realistic characters as much as the next guy, but sometimes it's fun to just have a character who is happy and also really good at their shit.
Speaking of happy characters, shall we talk about Niku?
Yeah, let's talk about Niku.
I know there are some people I know who like got kind of irritated with him towards the end, but I love Niku. He's my precious baby. I don't like. Again, there's a real earnestness to this character that is really pure and genuine, and the sense of loyalty he feels like towards people who are his friends is just, it's everything.
Yeah, for me, Niku annoyed me at first.
Because you're a bad person. It's fine.
Because one of the tropes of kid shows that I don't particularly enjoy is how there is always the character who is explicitly for comic relief. Like, and it's just, you know, it is what it is. And I expected that from Niku. But as the season went on, I actually felt like he got some development of his own. And to me, it feels like his comic relief is not so much done as his expense as someone like a Jar Jar is. But is more done...
Jar Jar is, his whole purpose is just for us to make fun of Jar Jar. Never heard of it. Poor Ahmed.
But like, I did feel like Niku had his own character, and I feel like we saw some of it when he's like trying to understand why Kaz would be a spy and lie about it. Because like he had that like moment of like,
excuse the
why
fuck
did
out
you
of me.
like why would you lie to me? You were dishonest with me? Like he had that moment. And like,
which is a super real reaction, you know?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
to me, I thought they did a better job than they have in the past of balancing the comic relief aspects that were, you know, intentional with Niku with building him into a full character who is not from, you know, our human-centric background, that we understand their motivations and trying to display how he's thinking without making fun of it. And I don't know that they 100% succeeded, but I thought that they did a better job of that than they have in recent seasons of recent Star Wars creative things. I don't know. Endeavors.
Words.
And so I was actually happy to see that, and I ended up liking him a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Allie, I know you love Niku also.
Oh, yes. Yes. Such a pure child. Yeah, and not only does he bring, like, great comedic, like, value to the show, but also just he's so cute and so pure. And so whenever he would get sad, there was one time with Bebo, but then there was like another time, I don't remember when it was, but I just remember our group chat was like freaking out with cry emojis. Because, like, it's, when he is sad, it is, like, really sad, because he's just so sweet and pure, and, like, he, like, buys Kaz drinks, and, like, tries so hard to, like, help, and just wants to be cute. And also, one thing I noted, with Miku, we got, like, some of the most, like, iconic kind of things, like, everyone freaked out about the water bottle, everyone's currently still freaking out about Blowfish, like, it's a thing.
That's my god. I just
going crazy. Like, I don't even know.
No, it's super true. My favorite probably like super like Niku thing is probably him just being like, "Did you say food? I love food." I'm like, "It's me. I am Niku. Niku is me." And also like him just, oh my god. I know that people have like a lot of different feelings every time Star Wars does a quote-unquote creature episode. You know, like we had the Zillo Beast and like the Clone Wars, and then we had the Purrgil and Rebels. I loved Bebo because like I was like, people who know me know that I'm like fucking obsessed with my hamster, and people are probably just like, it's a hamster, it's not like you got a dog or anything. I'm like, no, I will protect this thing with my life. Don't say anything bad about my tiny son. And I was just like, I relate to this, just him just being like, but I love. I'm still, I know that like the Colossus is like kind of like sped away from Castle and everything, but I'm still hoping that Mama Bebo comes back to like wreck some First Order shit, because come on, man, that would be badass. I think we can, let's talk about Yeager, our grumpy dad. I like Yeager a lot. He's probably the character I relate to most as a person who's like 80 years old inside. I just like, you know, it makes, again, like given his history, it makes perfect sense why he's so reluctant to help Poe out and help the Resistance out, even though, you know, he deep down he believes in what they're doing. But he also like he takes a while to warm up, and then he's just like there's something soft and squishy on the inside where he just wants to, you know, protect his children. He was like, when he was like so sad after like Tam defected, I was just like, oh Dad, somebody give you a hug. Poor Yeager.
Yeah, poor Yeager, but also like Tam had reasons. Like Tam was lied to.
No, I know.
Like, it's undeniable.
I know. I just poor Yeager.
No.
Yeager feelings.
No, just those. I felt that that he was one of the most real characters, honestly. Mm-hmm. Because you felt his, why are you dragging me into this bullshit feeling. And you felt his pain when, you know, he thought that he and Tam had such a relationship that he could just be like, you need to trust me and leave it alone. And they didn't. And I think he realizes how much he screwed up.
Oh.
And I think that aspect of the relationship and the fact that now it's not Yeager and Tam, it's Tierney and Tam. I know we're going to get to Tierney in the First Order in a minute. Mm-hmm. But like, I think that's in large part because she is showing the personal touch and the warmth that Yeager didn't really.
Right. Because he is a sad, grumpy dad.
Exactly.
Aww. Allie, how do you feel about Yeager?
I definitely agree. Like, it's, like I said before, with Kaz, you definitely get to see a lot of him helping Kaz grow, which I think is really cool, and getting to see a lot of that relatability with, like, how he gets dragged in the situation. Like, as soon as Poe shows up, he's like, whenever you show up, it's, like, something, like, not good for me, so... And then he has to, like, learn to accept, like, okay, I have to take Kaz under my wing and, like, help him, like, maneuver his way through working here and, like, getting his work done so he doesn't get caught and stuff, and helping Kaz grow along the way. And then, like you said, it's really sad because I think we do see some interaction between Tam and Yeager, but, like, most of it's between, Kaz and Tam, and, like, not so much Yeager. So when we do see, like, how distraught he is when he's trying to, like, tell her, like, to not trust them, when he's, like, being dragged to the prison cell, and it's, like, really sad. I'm like, oh, wow, there really was something there. That's just really sad. So, like, yeah, but it's just, I wrote down, like, even Tam says this in the episode, like, you were like a father to me. Like, he is that kind of father role to, like, Niku, Kaz, and Tam. He, like, takes on that role to help, like, watch over them and, like, help them. He's not just their employer. He, like, does care about them a lot, which I think is nice. And then also, he cares a lot about Bucket, especially when, like, Bucket gets, like, shot at in, like, the finale. Like, he's like, Bucket, no! And it's like, oh my heart. Yeah.
I know. Oh my god. I was just, like, literally, like, had to pause it because I was, like, screaming, they killed Bucket! Which, like, thank God that droids hardly ever truly die, but he's like, Bucket's, like, Yeager's senior dog, and he loves him deeply.
Right. I will also say, this is just a quick plug, that the voice acting has just been absolutely phenomenal on all ends.
Oh, God, yeah.
And for that to happen so clearly and quickly in season 1 is a testament to the casting, it's a testament to the writing, and it's a testament to the work that the actors have done to make us care about these animated characters so deeply after just one season.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of love, clearly, that the actors feel for these characters.
Yeah.
Like, it's super cool.
Definitely.
I'm still fucking pissed that Chris and I are gonna miss the Resistance panel on Monday because our.
Oh, I am too. I'm flying out on Monday.
Yeah, too. And we're just like, God damn it! Like, I really wanted to go.
Honestly, they should have put the Resistance panel early and the TPM panel later. Whatever.
It's fine.
It's fine. I'm just bitter.
Yeah. Speaking of being fine but bitter, First Order.
Yeah, right. So part of the reason I'm glad Tam went over to the First Order from a story perspective is because I want to watch the relationship between her and Tierney develop. We've never had a relationship between two strong black women, really, for the most part. We've never really had this mother-daughter relationship develop that they seem to be having.
Yep.
She is fulfilling needs that Tam has, and I think that there's so many interesting directions that they can take it to either, get Tam really indoctrinated. Maybe now that she has her, she starts ignoring her and she tries to make her want a cog in a machine. And so Tam hates it. Like, there's so many different ways that they can do this.
Right. Yeah.
Just by nature of the characters themselves.
Yeah. My curiosity is that, obviously we haven't gotten a lot about the inner workings of the First Order, as it is, like, right during The Force Awakens. Like, we have a little bit of, the history of it in Aftermath and in Phasma, the novels. But we don't really have a lot of, like, how it's currently working. And we know from Aftermath that, it is purposefully a more fanatical and savage and vicious version of the Empire.
Yeah.
And so I just... What is day-to-day like? Are we just having, like, fucking, like, stormtrooper cage fights? Or, like, what the fuck is going on over there?
Yeah, I mean, it'll certainly be interesting.
Yeah, totally.
And I think just one quick plug, and then we can maybe start skipping through a few of these, but I think part of the reason that the Tierney-Tam dynamic does work so well is because of who the characters are in terms of both being black women, and that's something we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Tam going over to the dark side, quote-unquote, is not problematic is because there are more black characters in this show.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you just, when you include a diverse cast of characters, there's so much more you can do with the story without having to worry about tropes and stereotypes.
Yeah.
And, it's just so much easier to just write a better story. And I think this season has been a wonderful example of that.
And, I mean, speaking of writing a better story, like, Tam is a fully three-dimensional character, so I don't, I don't feel like it's what you were saying. Words, Allie, talk.
Yeah, like you said, like that kind of interaction specifically, it was like really nice and refreshing and cool to see. I also noted that we definitely see, like, in the beginning of their interactions, Tierney's like has this whole facade, like, oh, the First Order is only trying to help, it's gonna be okay, like, we're only here to do the best, Tamara, like, we're trying to help people.
Yep.
She, like, immediately starts feeding that into Tam's brain, like, and Tam, we already see that Tam is more so, like, already trying to be like, oh, they're just doing their job, like, all the time, before all this happens, when she's with Kaz and everybody, she's like, oh, they're just trying to do their job, so, like, her tyranny also feeding that to her, like, will definitely help increase her view of that, I guess you could say. And she's like, and then, like you said, she immediately, like, gives that Tam the things she kind of wants, like, she's like, you can come with us and be a pilot, and isn't that your dream? And, like, she immediately is, like, feeding all these things to Tam, and I think that really, like, helps feed into why Tam makes the decision she does, both feeling that security, that they're doing what's best, and also because people lie to her, and also because she has this opportunity now that she kept thinking that Yeager could give her, and she would eventually get it, but, like, she just kept getting lied to, and she wasn't getting it, and she wasn't getting anywhere, and things were only getting worse, like, despite the fact that they couldn't become ace pilots because of the First Order, which they didn't bring up, but, like, she still wasn't getting the opportunities there, so she definitely saw that presented to her by tyranny, and so that was a way for her to follow through on that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I've got some secondary characters here, but I think we've honestly covered it with them, the way they round things out.
I think the only thing that I'll add of her list of secondary characters is that I want and look forward to more characterization of the Aces and their history.
Yes.
Because I think they have a lot to offer that we just haven't scratched the surface of.
Definitely. And I do think that they're going to dive into them at some point, because there's a reason why they were so highlighted, before the show debuted. So. Yeah,
I agree. I think that now that battle lines have officially been drawn, season 2 is going to be a lot more of looking at characters' motivations past, I do this racing for money.
Yes,
yep.
Totally.
Then with secondary, I noted that a lot of my friends and I had a lot of love for on C. There was a lot of love for her, obviously. Yes. And then I also noted that people liked making fun of Rucklin and how he's like the Ken Barbie doll of evil.
Yes.
So, yeah. Those are the two secondary characters I noted, but yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, I love annoying Chris by just doing the hype screaming Rucklin's name. Just like him just
Rucklin!
Yes. I do that constantly, which is, I'm sure, my most attractive quality, Chris
Absolutely.
Woodbury.
Absolutely. It's really a mating call is what it is.
Oh my god, moving right along. That was a thing that you said. All right, so since this is this podcast, I just wanted to talk about some connections we have to the larger universe, of which there are, I mean, at least a few of the obvious ones. One of them being, of course, Poe, being, again, another entry point, I suppose, for kids who have seen The Force Awakens to get into this cartoon, to get more into Star Wars. And I think the most significant thing I probably want to note here is something that Chris has written about in some of his reviews of the show for Tashi Station, is that, like, Oscar Isaac did not phone it in when it came to his voice acting. Like, he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
He hates monkeys.
He hates them so much.
No, but honestly, like, he did a great job. Gwendolyn Christie did a phenomenal job.
Oh, man.
Obviously, she's not our mother and champion Carrie Fisher, but the voice actor for Leia did a phenomenal job. Like, all of the, quote-unquote guest stars who were playing these characters that we know from the movies did, like, they weren't just there to be there. They were there to contribute.
Nailed it. Absolutely. We have, of course, I love that the Battle of Jakku has just kind of become a nexus point that connects so many characters across the Star Wars universe. We've got Thane and Sienna from Lost Stars. We've got Iden and Inferno Squad from the Battlefront video game. We've got the Aftermath crew. Now we've got Yeager, who, like, was posing with his buddies in front of that downed Star Destroyer that we see. Obviously, Rey, like, just speeds past bunches and bunches of those. So it was just, it's a cool tie-in, and, it's such a huge battle that it makes sense that all these people were there, but it's also just, like, Look at all these paths crossing. I love this shit. Just, it makes me happy in my completionist heart.
Yeah. It's almost like this is a fully built out world.
Are there any, like, big tie-ins to The Force Awakens that I'm missing, apart from that and...
Apart from Boom.
Yeah, like, apart from that. Oh, jeez.
I just wrote Battle of Jakku, Starkiller Base, and also there was Kylo name drops.
Yes.
So we obviously had that, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was wondering if Kylo was gonna pop up. I feel like he might. I feel like it's a voice that's probably pretty easy to imitate because you have to like run it through his stupid mask recorder thingamabob anyway. So I don't know. We'll see. Also,
it'll be interesting because I think I could see it going either way because I could definitely see them doing it. I could see Adam Driver doing his voice. But at this point, it would have to be post TLJ.
Ooh.
And just by nature of when season 2 comes out versus when episode 9 comes out, I doubt that we would get anything on Kylo Ren post TLJ before episode 9 comes out.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously during episode 9, there's plenty of speculation on all sides about what might happen to Kylo, but it'll be a whole interesting dynamic. So
motherfucker.
I kind of feel like if Kylo was going to pop up in person, he would have done so this season, but prove me wrong.
You never know.
One never does.
Ooh, so here's a good one. There was the episode where Kaz and Poe were, sniffing around various, like, I don't know, First Order past haunts or whatever the hell. They
Station Theta Black.
Thank you. I don't know.
Or the one with the drilled.
Whatever one that about.
There was like 2.
Whatever the fuck one it was, where they were on this planet and they come to a village that's been completely destroyed and they have no sense of when it was destroyed or anything, but also there's a temple there and there's speculation about whether this is Luke's training temple I can't talk temple that Kylo and his little motherfuckers destroyed.
Yeah.
I need to know more.
Yeah, there's speculation about that. There's also speculation there's a symbol above the temple door that is the same as one of the necklaces of the boys from Tahar.
Oh,
so
shit.
There's speculation it's their city. It could frankly be both. Like, they could be from a community near Luke's temple.
Okay, no Bofa.
We see they're testing all these planets, which means presumably that Starkiller Base is not that far away. So, like, this could, for strong world. Like, I think there's a lot more to discover for sure.
Yeah, I have questions. I have many questions about what the fuck Luke was doing between Endor and when we see him being a depressed hermit on Octo. So, we're not going to get any answers anytime soon because 9's not out yet, but I want to know.
Oh, I know, and I guarantee you they're not going to announce any books on that at Celebration.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do it until after 9.
Damn it. Chris, what are you doing over here? You're just, like, whacking the table. You're whacking the microphone. What are you...
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so this is opening us up to speculation pod. Where do we think the Colossus is going?
Batuu.
Yeah.
If they're not going to Batuu, I will eat my hat that I am not wearing. Like,
you'll eat the easiest to digest hat you have.
Yes. Like, I am not a big cynical, Disney just wants to make money on their tie-ins guy. Like, that's not really me. But, like, if they don't go to Batuu, like, I will be floored.
Yes.
Like, we know they're excited about Galaxy's Edge. There's Galaxy's Edge books coming out in the fall. Like,
and I mean,
there's comics happening right now. We know the Resistance is going to be there at some point.
And I mean, at the point where like they know they're going to a place that could very well be the middle of nowhere. Batuu's the middle of fucking nowhere.
Batuu is in fact the middle of nowhere.
It is the goddamn boonies of the galaxy. Nobody knows where that is. So I don't know. Allie, what do you think about all this?
I agree. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that much yet. I definitely agree, though. That would definitely be interesting, and yeah.
I don't know. It'd be an intriguing option.
Yes.
Yes. Any connection stuff that we missed that y'all wanted to talk about?
I mean, you wrote down a few things here about other tie-ins we could see specifically with characters. You know, the characters that we do know are alive right now, Zay and Shriv from Battlefront.
I really, really want them to pop up at some point.
Yeah.
Zay is a fun character.
Snap Wexley, Jessica Pava, Kare Kun, and the rest of Black Squadron. Mm-hmm. We know they're around. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wedge Antilles, theoretically, around. Mm-hmm. As a character, he is still alive.
Lando.
No, could get involved. He strikes me as a guy that might know Batu.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Especially since Batu is mentioned in Solo: A Star Wars Story.
So it is. I had forgotten about that momentarily. Yeah, I mean, that's what I want out of next season. Besides knowing more about the Aces, like, that's really what I want out of next season, is hopefully for them to tie together some of the other storylines into the show.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing is 9 is going to come out, and this is going to be the ongoing piece of media in that segment of the timeline that has the ability to keep tying this stuff and interconnecting itself in a way that books can't really, and there aren't any other TV shows in that area right now. Mm-hmm. So, like, while I understand why there weren't as many explicit tie-ins in Rebels, because, you know, they obviously had to work within what they had from A New Hope and Rogue One, there weren't as many tie-ins so far because they want to keep 9 under wraps because that's the priority right now. I get it. But, like, they all have a wide open world for the first time, really, ever.
Totally.
So it'll be interesting to see where that goes and what kind of tie-ins and intersections we meet. Mm-hmm. We'll have a lot to talk about for sure.
Totally. Allie, what do you want out of season 2?
Definitely, oh jeez. Honestly, just anything.
Yeah?
Like, just more, please. If not direct tie-ins to the Resistance, I definitely say, like, more, like, if they don't have direct interactions, definitely more, like, just general tie-ins to that, like, more so Resistance-y kind of aspect, because especially now that we've left the Colossus, I think. Definitely will be interesting to see, like, where the characters go from here and, like, what their next, like, journeys are and adventures and, like, what they're, like, now that they're not trapped on the station, like, it leaves a lot more open, especially, like, I saw somebody mention this, but, like, it's just like with Rebels and how for season 1 we were largely tied to Lothal, and then once we left Lothal, we had, like, a lot more options of where we could go and, like, where we could adventure. Like, we still came back to Lothal, but we, like, still had, like, more time to go other places and stuff. So, similar to now with Resistance, we definitely have more options of, like, more kind of freedom to, like, experiment with different kinds of things. So I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, just to build off of what you said, I think the first season of the show has really proven that, you know, like, I think it's really earned my trust anyway as a viewer. So, like, you know, wherever they want to take it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I will go, and I will be happy about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right, well, I think that takes us to a nice stopping point. Before we do our usual wrap-up, Allie, can you please tell our listeners what projects you're working on and where they can find your stuff?
Sure. My main Twitter is at Allie_M_Andrews. That's, like, my main account. And then I also have a podcast, Knights of Ren, at Knights of Ren. Currently, I'm on a hiatus because my co-host left me. And I'm too socially awkward to ask for guests for every episode, but my next plan is to do an Ezra episode, as I'm doing character episodes for all of the Rebels characters. That's my plan. I'm either going to find guests for that or wait till I can find a new co-host. So, yeah, my podcast is currently up in the air, but yeah, definitely Knights of Ren. Follow that. I should hopefully have more episodes out soon. And, yeah, and then besides that, I tweet about Star Wars, I do commissions, art, other stuff, cosplay, fun stuff, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, Allie's art is lovely, and if anybody is listening wants to do a podcast with her. She is super cool.
Yeah,
so
please.
Yeah, any Ether stands? Anybody who wants to be given a mic to tell me how much I'm wrong?
I mean, we love telling you you're wrong. So
It's-
I gotta say, it's really fun.
Yeah, wouldn't be different. Wouldn't be a different experience. Cool. Well, Allie, thank you so much for joining us. We've loved having you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Super fun.
And then in the meantime, for our listeners, I believe as you listen to this, if our scheduling works as intended, which is always a little bit touch and go these days, we are expecting to have our next episode of Aftermath.
Sorry, you were like touching me with your fucking disgusting feet, and I don't like it. They've got socks, and your toes are existing. I don't like it. Get away from me.
I apologize for accidentally kicking you.
It was very alarming. You weren't just kicking me. You were like all up in my space. Like anyway. Marriage, guys.
I believe our next episode will be on Empire's End by Chuck Wendig, chapter 11 through the interlude on Coruscant. I think that's the episode that's going to be released. Or did we already release that? I don't know.
No, I don't think we did.
We didn't, right?
No, we were just recorded that yesterday.
Oh, that's what we recorded yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm all lost.
We have no idea what we're doing, guys.
Did we release the first episode?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a week, y'all. All right. In the next 2 days, on Thursday, as you're listening to this, we're aiming to release this episode Tuesday. On Thursday, you'll hear our second episode on Empire's End. So read up on chapters 11 through the interlude on Coruscant. And then after that, you have a week later to look forward to our third episode on Empire's End, chapters 21 through 31. In the meantime, and for clarification on whatever it is that I just said, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at BookWarsPod, bookwarspod@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe to both us and the Tashi Station Radio Mega Feed. Really helps others discover the show and help the positive Star Wars community that we are trying to build whenever you leave a review. And when you leave a review, you have a chance to win free books and pins and all sorts of fun prizes. So no better time than right now if you're listening and you have not left a review on iTunes. Also, if you have the means and are so inclined, please donate to the Tashi Station Radio Patreon page. It helps us coast our hosting and production costs, as well as giving us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. Again, just very helpful to us as we aim to keep the show running. A couple other housekeeping notes just to remind folks, we are a little more than 2 weeks away from Star Wars Celebration Chicago. We are thrilled. We're excited. We cannot wait to hang out with all of you as well. A bunch of podcasts led by the Coffee with Kenobi Network are putting together one big hangout on Saturday evening of the con. So if you're going to be at Star Wars Celebration and you're free Saturday at 7:30, we're going to be hanging out at the Arc at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, which is the one right next to the convention center. Nice and easy. We'll be there. Tons of other podcasts will be there. Come and say hi. We want to meet you.
Yay.
And a little further in the future, about a month from now is AwesomeCon, which is DC's big yearly convention. We were proud to have a panel last year. We're proud to be bringing that panel back this year with myself, Kate, at Chaos Bria from the Tashi Station Network, and a few other fun surprise guests that we are not quite ready to announce, but we think it's going to be a really good conversation.
If we can get them. Otherwise, it's just going to be us, and I will fill the other chairs with my stuffed animals, I guess.
Yeah, that works. We'll bring pork chop.
Aww. You would hate it.
He would. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design. For Kate and Knights of Ren's Allie, thank you both for joining us. I'm Chris, and we will talk to you all next time.